3, hit it!
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's Caffeine for the Soul. And if you enjoy the things we talk about in the Caffeine for the Soul podcast each week, I encourage you to check out our free basic course in Living from the Inside Out, which you can get by going to michaelneill.org/basic course. And what I wanted to talk about this week is my new favorite word. And where I stumbled across it was in a quote from Barbara Banks that I share from time to time on this podcast. Barbara Banks was the Scottish mystic Sid Banks's first wife. She died fairly young, unfortunately. But the one quote that I have heard attributed to her was, "You can have anything you want in life. You just have to actually want it." And when I first heard that, I thought, oh, that's a sweet quote. I quite like that. And then I started playing with it. And I started realizing that so much of what I say I want and what other people tell me they want isn't what they actually want. It's what they think it's acceptable to want. It's what they think they might actually get. It's what they think reflects well on them for wanting. And so a very simple kind of coaching trick I developed is somebody would tell me what they want. And I go, is that what you actually want? And I got to tell you, 8 times out of 10, I was going to say 9, but I think it's probably 8 times out of 10. They go, well, I mean, no, kind of. And then eventually they get round to what they actually want. And I've started to fall in love with the word actually. Like for real. Like, no, really. And I've seen that it's not just wanting where we're out of touch. We're out of touch with what we need. We talk about, oh, I need this, I need this, I need this. What do you actually need? Like when I ask myself that, occasionally in a moment I might really want, and I could say need a drink of water. I might really want, or I could say need a little, just to catch my breath. I might really want, or I could say need to lighten up, to laugh, to smile. But what do I actually need? Not a lot. I'm pretty sure I need oxygen. Other than that, I'm not so sure. What do you actually think about things? Now, you might think, I know what I think, and okay, those are your opinions and your stories, and I'm sure you've thought about them. But how many of your opinions are what you actually think? If you're being completely honest with yourself, I'm not talking about being honest with anybody else. I'm a big fan. In my first book, I talked about radical self-honesty. Like, what do you actually think? Now, most people, when they look, are a bit surprised that what they actually think is not what they preach and is not what they talk about all the time. It might be close, but it's usually not as black or white. And sometimes it's blacker or whiter than what they're used to saying. Now, what's cool is when you get in touch with what you actually want, sometimes it changes. When you get in touch with what you actually think, sometimes the thinking starts to change. What do you actually like? Like, what kind of food do you actually like? Is it the food that you eat? For most people, it's really not. What do you actually feel right now? I'm all right. Yeah. But what do you actually feel? How do you actually feel about your job? How do you actually feel about your friends? How do you actually feel about people that you know? It's not usually the first answer that comes to mind. Now, it's okay if it is, but it's really cool to check. And then one of my favorites. So I'm a big fan of looking at what I actually want, and I've been really fascinated to see what I actually think. And it's been beautiful for me to get back in touch with what I actually like, because I'm just so habituated to what I do that I hadn't checked in with myself for a very long time to notice that some of the stuff I've been eating for years I don't actually like, so I've stopped eating it now. It's great. And then the final question I want to leave you with, to kind of sit with and contemplate is, what do you actually know about life? What do you actually know about yourself? Not what sounds cool, not what you'd be very proud to tell people that you know. Not, oh, I don't know anything. But what do you actually know? And my experience is that when you tune into your knowing, it turns out you know a lot more than you think you do. But probably a lot less than you think about all day long. So I'm going to invite you to actually play with actually this week. What do you actually want? What do you actually like? What do you actually think? And what do you actually know? And see what you see. Have fun, learn heaps, happy exploring, and I'll talk with you soon.